Thank you so much. Thank you to the HRC for this incredible honor. Thank you to my hometown of St. Louis. Thank you to this amazing table of my friends who are here with me tonight, some of whom I've known since high school. It's so incredible to celebrate with everyone here tonight. So in my career, I actually wrote 4 ostensibly straight books. I mean, I wrote them, they're straightish, before I could no longer resist writing a romance about a queer girl. That story, which eventually became my book, The Summer of Jordi Perez and the Best Burger in Los Angeles, poured out of me. But it took my agent a long time to sell the manuscript. Publishers just didn't seem to know what to do with the book, where a queer teen girl who was already out fell in love with another out girl, and nothing bad happened. I mean, besides teen angst and bad communication skills. When a small publisher finally got the book on shelves, readers immediately connected with the soft and fluffy and extremely gay story, and I knew there was no going back for me. I was already finished with another queer book, and I had so many more stories within me to write. I still do. Thank you. Back when I was growing up here in St. Louis, the only thing I thought I might eventually come out about, please don't be mad at me, but someone who did not like St. Louis style pizza. Sorry, not sorry. No, the early mid-90s were an extremely weird time to be a queer teen, as I know many of you know, my Gen Xers. Deep down at my core, I felt different, but the truth is when I hear other queer folks talking about that moment they knew, I never had that singular defining event. After all, it wasn't as if I could look around the cultural landscape back then and see someone like me. Queer representation when I was growing up was bleak, but mostly it was non-existent. And as we all know, homophobia doesn't just lurk in hateful comments, violence, ugly stereotypes. It's also the absence of portrayal and erasure of the truth. So it's no wonder I never connected with something that made me think, that's me. It's no wonder that I resisted the feelings I held deep down as anything to do with queerness at all. Even as time went on and media began to reflect more of the actual world, the representation of bisexual people that I saw in no way signaled it might have anything to do with me. It felt like bisexual characters were always dressed in head-to-toe black leather, dancing in a club at 3 a.m., having sex against brick walls and alleyways. I mean, no shade toward all leather outfits, going out past my own personal bedtime, having sex in alleyways, all neutral activities. But it just didn't feel like the same category could be applied to someone who has a bedtime. So, and who liked hanging out to discuss books while petting a cat, while wearing something twee and made out of a breathable cotton, drinking an organically sourced soy milk chai latte. We know now that is a bisexual stereotype, but we didn't know it then. So I didn't have an aha moment. Instead, I had small feelings, I had new experiences, I had casual conversations. Not a big coming out, just instead finally feeling like I could talk about all of myself except just the stuff I could name. I also realized you don't even have to be able to name it all. If we're lucky, life is long, and I hope I keep learning and growing throughout the course of it. And I think this is why I grew up to be a storyteller who fills her novels with queer characters. It's not only that I love writing characters who are like me, girls and women who have crushes, creative ambitions, and deep love for their friends. It's also that I love writing characters who aren't like me, who are bolder, braver, who get to learn the lessons a little earlier than I did. I wonder all the time what life would have been like for me if, as a kid, I'd read one of the many queer young adult novels that are now at bookstores and in libraries. With such a wealth of nuance and representation, surely I would have been rewarded with some aha moments sooner. Imagine me back in the 90s tearing through a romance novel where a fat girl gets to be funny, desired, creative, loved by her friends and her crush. Being queer wouldn't have been a door I was afraid to open. It would have been a door I would have eagerly run through. Right now, as you've heard, libraries and books themselves are under attack by a hateful wave of book bannings, library closures, and laws targeting stories that aren't about straight, white, cis characters. The people behind these hateful actions are so scared that kids will pick up books about trans kids and read that hopeful futures are possible. They're scared kids will find the language they need to describe themselves in books about non-binary characters. They're so scared. The kids will read books where no matter what the struggles are, queer people get happily ever afters. Because this really isn't about books at all. It's about keeping the power of language and stories from the kids who need it most. It's about pushing us back to the margins, pretending the enormous progress we've made never happened, silencing us. Well, I'm not going to be silenced, and I know none of you all will be either. To be honored for visibility is particularly moving during times like these, and I'm going to keep up that visibility. I'm going to keep making sure that queer folks have as many chances as possible to see themselves in the stories they consume. Thank you so much to the HRC for this incredible honor, and thank you, St. Louis.